coming out of the exec session. It's 8:01, and the zoning hearing board is going to go back on the record. After meeting exec session, the zoning hearing board is going to take the motion to dismiss under advisement and request that the township presents its case.
Yeah, I do want to admit additional evidence on this matter because I did have a chance to confer with my client. We do believe we were timely, and I would like to admit that evidence if they're going to hold that matter under advisement. I would like to have the additional evidence also heard by the board so they can, when they do make a decision, it's based on the additional evidence my client has provided me regarding the file.
You'll be able to call your client and present that evidence later on during this hearing, but now as this is a enforcement action, the township will present their case.
Thank you, Mr. Solicitor, Mr. Vice Chairman, board members. I'd like to call Anna Gindhart. Ms. Gindhart is seated to my right. Should be sworn, please.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Right, so just keep your voice up.
Thank you. Ms. Gindhart, please state your name for the record and spell your last name, please.
Anna Gindhart, Gindhart.
And by whom are you employed, Ms. Gindhart?
Barry Isett Associates.
And how are you associated with Newtown Township?
I serve as the Township Zoning and Code Enforcement Officer.
And how long have you served in that capacity?
1.5 years.
Mark is Exhibit T1, a copy of Gindhart's curriculum vitae. I have supplied a copy of this to council. Ms. Gindhart is Exhibit T1 that I'm showing you right now, a copy of your curriculum vitae.
Yes.
And is it up to date?
Yes.
Does it accurately reflect your education and work experience?
Yes.
Have you been qualified as an expert in zoning before zoning hearing boards in the past?
Yes.
I would ask that Ms. Gindhart, based on her accreditation as a certified zoning officer and her curriculum vitae, be qualified as an expert in zoning.
Counsel, do you have any questions for the witness on their qualifications?
No, I have no objection.
Okay, and she will be admitted as an expert.
Thank you. Ms. Gindhart, are you familiar with the subject property at 2124 South Eagle Road in Newtown Township?
Yes.
Is the property the location of the Borscht Belt Delicatessen/restaurant?
Yes.
Have you visited the property in your professional capacity as the township zoning officer?
I have.
Do you recall when you visited the property?
Yes. June 13 of 2023.
Why did you visit this particular property on that date?
I did visit because the zoning department received 3 complaints, 2 voicemails and 1 actual phone call regarding a neon sign on the window of the property.
Now, is it your job to investigate complaints of violations of the zoning ordinance?
Yes.
When you visited the property in response to the complaint, what did you observe regarding signage?
I observed a neon sign that was hanging in the front window of the property.
Can you describe the neon sign, please?
Yes, the sign states the name, the Borscht Belt, in the larger red letters, and then the name Delicatessen in the smaller letters below it.
And what did you do next in regard to this property?
I prepared a notice of violation to send to the owner.
Okay. Show you what I've marked as Exhibit T2 that I've also supplied to council. Hand up.
Thank you.
Ms. Gindhart, is Exhibit T2 a copy of your letter dated June 13th, 2023 to Newtown Center Associates, care of Robert Shasha.
Yes,
And is Newtown Center Associates the owner of the property?
yes.
Now, in your June 13, 2023 letter, what violation of the zoning ordinance is being noted?
It's section 1403 of the joint municipal zoning ordinance for failure to obtain a building permit for the window sign of the property.
Okay. Now, to your knowledge, did either Newtown Center Associates or the Borscht Belt Deli ever file a building permit application or any other application for the subject sign?
No,
Did Newtown Center Associates or the Borscht Belt file an appeal from your June 13, 2023 enforcement letter within 30 days of its issuance, or by July 13, 2023?
no.
What was your next interaction with the Borscht Belt Deli?
On June 27 of 2023, Mr. Deal would send an email to the Newtown zoning officer email inbox, and I responded on July 5th via email to Mr. Deal.
Okay, I'm going to show you an exhibit I've marked as Exhibit T3 and also provided to council. I will hand that up. Ms. Gindhart, is this a copy of the email correspondence that was initiated by Mr. Dalowitz on June 27th to the township and ultimately concluded on the second page on July 5th, 2023?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in your July 5th email, which is on page 2 of Exhibit T3, at the top, what did you advise Mr. Dalowitz concerning the sign?
I advise him that the sign is not permitted under section 1104.B of the zoning ordinance, and ordered him to remove it within 10 business days of the email, and noted that he has 30 days to appeal to the zoning hearing board.
Did Mr. Dalowitz, on behalf of the Borscht Belt Deli, remove the sign within 10 business days of the email?
No,
Did the Borscht Belt file an appeal to the zoning hearing board from your July 5th, 2023 enforcement notice?
did appeal from July, yeah.
Did the Borscht Belt file an appeal
Yeah.
from this enforcement
From
notice?
this, yes.
Yes, okay. And when was that appeal filed according to the date stamp on the appeal?
August.
I'm gonna object. The record speaks for itself about when it's stamped, and we object of when it was actually filed. So unless she was there just to accept any filings, I think the document speaks for itself.
I will agree that the document speaks for itself, but I'm allowed to ask her when the appeal was filed according to the timestamp on the appeal.
Well, I think the timestamp, unless she stamped it, she doesn't, the timestamp speaks for itself.
Sir, if I understand the objection, are you saying that you're questioning the received August 21st, 2023 date?
I'm objecting to the form of the question. She's not the one that stamped it. She doesn't know, like, when it was accepted or when it was even originally applied for. So I think the document speaks for itself.
Mr. Santa, can you rephrase the question? I think the document speaks for itself as well, or can you rephrase the question?
Well, I will allow the document with the date stamp on it that I've argued previously to stand on its own. And I certainly request that as an exhibit, as a board exhibit to this hearing, that the board take notice of that filing. Now, when that appeal was filed, Ms. Gindhart, how do you know, based on looking at the application, how do you know what enforcement notice, whether it was your June 13th enforcement notice or your July 5th enforcement notice, how do you know which of those enforcement notices was being appealed by the application?
It says on the application for hearing, page 3, it states the action from which the appeal was taken. It says 7-5. Responded and notified me via electronic window signs not being permitted in Newtown. And then it says the date action 7-5.
Meaning July 5th, 2023.
Correct.
Now, in his June 27th, 2023 email to you, on page 1 of Exhibit T3, did Mr. Dalowitz, on behalf of the Borscht Belt, advise you that there were other signs in other businesses that potentially violated the zoning ordinance?
Yes.
And did you investigate Mr. Dalowitz's complaint, just as you did when you received a complaint about the Borscht Belt sign?
Yes.
And did you take any official action as a result of your investigation?
Yes, I issued a letter that was dated July 26th of 2023 to the property owner, the Newtown Center Association, noting the 8 other businesses, including the Borscht Belt, that have illegal signs on the window.
Okay, I'll show you an exhibit I've marked as Exhibit T4 and hand that up to the board. Ms. Gindhart, is Exhibit T4 a copy of your July 26, 2023 enforcement letter to the owner of the property, identifying 8 businesses, including the Borscht Belt, that after your investigation, in your professional opinion, had illegal signs?
Yes.
Was this enforcement notice ever appealed to the zoning hearing board?
No.
What did you do next with regard to your investigation of signs at the Village at Newtown South Shopping Center area?
I issued a second notice of violation to the property owner, naming the same 8 businesses in the Village at Newtown South having the illegal window signs.
And I'll ask you if the exhibit that I've marked as Exhibit T5 is a copy of your August 15th, 2023 letter to the owner of the property, noting violations by 8 businesses on that property regarding signage.
Yes.
Now, was this enforcement notice ever appealed to the zoning hearing board?
No.
What is the status of both the July 26th and August 15th enforcement letters, exhibits T4 and T5?
All other cited businesses in the Village at Newtown South, except the Borscht Belt, have complied with the enforcement notice.
To date, has the Borscht Belt complied with any of your enforcement notices, including the July 26th and August 15th notices?
No.
So the neon sign that's the subject of this proceeding continues to be displayed in the window of the Borscht Belt Deli?
Yes.
In your professional opinion as the township zoning officer and an expert in zoning, was the property in violation of the Newtown Area Joint Municipal Zoning Ordinance on June 13, 2023, when you issued your first enforcement notice?
Yes.
And in your professional opinion as the township zoning officer and an expert in zoning, was the property in violation of the zoning ordinance when you issued your July 5th, 2023 enforcement notice to the Borscht Belt?
Yes.
Does the neon sign in the front window of the Borscht Belt continue to violate section 1104B of the Joint Municipal Zoning Ordinance?
Yes.
No further questions. I would move for the admission of exhibits T1 through T5.
Councilor, are there any objections to, I apologize, my microphone was not. Council, any objections to any of these? Okay. Mr. Saturday, please.
Thank you. Cross-examine.
Yes. So your role within the township is to enforce the zoning code of the township, is that
Yes.
correct?
Council, I apologize. Can you keep your voice up?
Yes.
Yeah, you're doing it that way.
Yes.
That, or if you want to go to the podium.
No, I've never been shy to raise my voice. So, and is your role just to take complaints from individuals within the township about potential violations of the zoning code?
It's not, my role is not just that, no.
Okay, your role is to oversee the township and making sure that people comply with the zoning code, correct? Okay, which includes the neon sign prohibition within the township, correct?
Yes.
And there's no exceptions to that neon sign prohibition within the township, right? Like, there's no neon signs allowed within the township, is that correct?
There's no signs that are illuminated by inner gas and or have exposed tubes. Yes, that's correct.
And that's signs that are within the window or visible from out the street as well, is that correct? Okay. Now, before you, if you can share, counsel, I provided a list of exhibits, and I would point your attention to Exhibit 5. All right. And the first set of photographs on the first page is headlined as Acqua, Farina, 50 Richboro Road, Newtown, Pennsylvania. 50 Richboro Road, Newtown, Pennsylvania is within your purview, correct?
I would have to check, I have to check the map, but yeah, I'm assuming it's.
Well, you're the zoning enforcement
I don't
officer.
know every address in the township.
Okay, well, it is in Newtown, right? So your
Newtown.
purview is within Newtown,
Yes.
right? Okay, and the top photograph is a photograph of this restaurant, which has a signage above the front door, which has the word open that's illuminated, correct?
Yes.
Objection, relevance, which is obviously one of the objectionable items in the MPC and zoning hearing. Relevance, we're here for their sign. The existence of any other sign within the township whatsoever is completely and wholly irrelevant to the enforcement notice being appealed today.
We're appealing the selective enforcement.
That's a different cause of
Can
action.
I finish? Okay. We're appealing the selective enforcement of this zoning code in this provision. And any type of selective enforcement of this sort is impermissible and unconstitutional under the Pennsylvania and United States Constitutions, due process and equal protection clauses. So it is highly relevant. This would be considered a non-conforming sign, and if the township does not enforce its regulations in this respect uniformly, they can't selectively enforce.
What is before us is an appeal of the violation dealing with section 1403 and 1104.b. Whether or not your client the property owner had a permit, whether or not they're allowed to have a neon sign at all or at that certain size. I will allow limited testimony, it will be very limited, and the chair will make sure it is limited on this point.
Yeah,
So we are not overruling the objection, but we are requesting that you are limited with exploring other signs that are not on this property as we are here today on this property.
He's got 4 pages of photos. We agree that those photos depict what they are being presented to the zoning hearing board to depict. They are existing signs in Newtown Township. We don't have a problem with that.
That's the
But
problem.
that's
the problem. You don't have a problem with that, and you're doing selective enforcement based on the content of the sign. That's the issue.
Okay.
We're here for an appeal of the permit.
I would argue to the zoning hearing board that the zoning hearing board does not have jurisdiction under the municipality's planning code to hear cases dealing with selective enforcement and constitutional violations. That is best suited, and the appropriate forum for that is the United States District Court for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, which In the past, Mr. Dalowitz has certainly threatened to file a suit in, and to date has not done so. So this is a zoning hearing, and I'm imploring the zoning hearing board to not let this get out of control and become an anti-Semitic issue, an anti-Jewish issue, an anti-Borscht Belt issue. This is a sign case. And you already have evidence that other signs in the township have been enforced against and have complied, except this business. So now who's being selective about their sign? The point is, you don't have jurisdiction to hear selective enforcement cases and discrimination cases. That's a federal 1983 civil rights action that needs to be brought in federal court. So let's limit the focus of this. We agree, these are signs existing in the township. They may or may not be being enforced against right now. Nobody knows, maybe the zoning officer knows, but we're here to talk about the sign at 2124 South Eagle Road. Is that sign illegal? And that's the only question that this board has before it.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean
No,
to.
no, I
We allow very limited testimony on this point.
But I will say this, it also goes to the remedy aspect here. If this is a non-conforming sign and the township selectively enforces this regulation against the Borscht Belt and not others based on the content of that speech, then we're asking for this board to stop any type of fines against us because of that selective enforcement.
You can make that argument at closing. If you have limited further costs on that point, we will allow that.
So going back to the first page of photographs, so that is an illuminated neon sign with the word open above that door.
It's an illuminated sign. I cannot tell if it's neon or not.
And then this property is located, look at the second picture, this is that same property. This property is located apparently within a residential area, or at least adjacent to a residential area.
I do not know that. I don't have the zoning district to confirm.
All right, we'll go to the second page of the photographs. 50 W Road, Newtown, PA. That's within your purview, correct?
Yes.
And this is Mattress Warehouse of Newtown. And they also have an illuminated sign on their front window, correct?
Yes.
And the next photo to the right of that is Newtown Cleaners at 42 W Road, Newtown, Pennsylvania. Is that correct?
Yes.
And they also have may not be the best picture, but they have an illuminated sign on their window, correct?
Correct.
We'll stipulate that the remaining photographs in Exhibit A5 have illuminated signs in their windows.
I would like to direct your attention to Exhibit 4, which is in the...
I apologize. There is an offer of a stipulation. Council, are you?
Yes, we can stipulate.
Okay, thank you. I'm just trying to preserve.
Trying to save time.
So I would direct your attention to Exhibit 4, which in our table of contents is noted as photos of the property. So the first photograph is the front of the front window storefront of the property, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And it's correct that that illuminated sign is not a majority of the storefront of the property, correct?
I don't know.
Well, you were at the property.
I did not measure the whole window to do calculations if it's majority or not. I do know that it does take.
Okay. Well, there's two, it looks like two equal glass panes.
Objection. This is complete speculation.
Well,
No, unless they have measurements, then it is what the photo depicts what it depicts. They're not being cited for this. They're being cited because it's neon and because they didn't get a permit for it.
Well, that's not correct. They're being cited because of the
He's saying
content.
You're sustaining the objection. Please ask the.
So the second photograph that's in that exhibit is also of the Borscht Belt at night, correct?
Correct.
And the sign's not illuminated at that time, is that correct?
Yes.
Alright. And I wanted to go over the notice violations that council presented to you dated June 13th, 2023, July 26th of 2023, and August 15th of 2023. In each one, they state that my client had 30 days from the, well, that there was a right of appeal for issuance of the enforcement notice within 30 days of the date of those letters, correct?
Yes.
So my client or anyone who wanted to appeal this decision had 30 days from the date of each of these notices, correct? I also want to direct your attention to the application for appeal for my client, which is in our exhibit packet of Exhibit 1. And if you can I'm going to direct your attention to page 6 of 6. That's the acknowledgement page. And the date that this application was acknowledged by a notary public was July 21st of 2023, correct?
Correct.
I have no further questions.
No reason.
Do any board members have any questions for this witness? No. Mr. Sander, do you have any other witnesses?
I do not, Mr. Solicitor, thank you.
Are you assuming you were arresting them?
Yes, subject to necessary rebuttal based on the applicant's testimony.
Understood. Do you have any witnesses you're seeking?
Yes, Mr. Dolowitz.
Okay, let's have Mr. Dolowitz sworn in.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the truth, and nothing but the truth?
I apologize. We're gonna, before we start with Mr. Dolowitz's testimony, let's take a 10-minute recess.